So, welcome to Coffee Podcast, a space for all conversations. My name is Sharon, your host, and we're joined today by our co-host for Coffee Talk, Sharon Hickman Mahones. So,
You're so many names.
welcome. If you're watching our video, welcome to our podcast. We are retired Army veterans, and we've known each other for about 20 years. So I can say that we trust over 20 years now. So I can say that we trust each other, and we're always having lots of conversations, and we're having conversations that affect us personally, individually, collectively, as a community. And our life experiences, our observations, our conversations, I believe they qualify us to have the conversations that this coffee podcast is going to bring to the forefront, right?
When it comes to relationships, healthy or unhealthy, I'm a subject matter expert.
Yes. And I feel that, it was time for us to open our virtual doors to engage our audience in conversations that are enlightening, that are empowering. And yes, we will have conversations that will be and can be controversial, but we're here for it. We're here to have those conversations because I feel that it's going to build us up as a community. And as Sharon once told me, listen, you won't fail on my watch. And I adopted that slogan. You won't fail on my watch. Hence why Coffee Talk Podcast, a place for all conversations, has started. And this serves as our pilot entering the virtual space to carve out our piece of, real estate here in the
virtual community
market. Yes. So we're also checking the temperature to see if, these conversations that we're offering to the YouTube audience and to the YouTube family, if those conversations, as we know them, are going to, make a difference and help build up the community the way that we seek to do. Would you say the same, Sharon?
Yes. We're going to all agree to disagree because we're not going to agree on everything.
Right.
So we're not going to dispel or discount anyone's truth.
Oh, very much so. Because I feel that my truth may not be your truth, as your truth may not be my truth. But I feel that we can come together, come to the meeting table, have conversations, and empower each other, have energy bursts. And then we leave from the meeting table, your integrity is intact, my integrity is intact. I respect your opinion, you respect my opinion, and you eat the chicken and throw out the bones. You take from the conversations that work, what works for you, and whatever doesn't work for you, you leave it for others, right? So we're going to have some conversations that may get some people worked up, but this is a space. But this is a space for all conversations, and we preserve the right to block. Because, come on, make any comments, giving your opinion, your perspective, your vantage point on these conversations that we seek to have. We want you to always be respectful, because Coffee Talk Podcast is a space that, it's a safe place. Yeah, safe place. So we're going to commit ourselves to our work because it's important. Oh, yes, honey. You can't have a coffee talk without some coffee, some tea, something, some sort of liquid,
Some kind of beverage.
Some sort of beverage.
So it's a hot toddy.
So why Coffee Talk Podcast?
Well, for me, I felt like all the times that I have, since I've been knowing you and other females that were in the service with us, we've always sat down and had honest communications about relationships and things that we were going through. And I bring a different perspective to the table because most women are female dominant when it comes to what they learned growing up. And my influence is male dominant.
Right.
Because I hung with my grandfather and my uncles, and my grandmama, you couldn't talk to her about that stuff. She was real old school. So, but my granddad I could talk to about anything, and my uncle. So I've been married twice, and both of my husbands, they're both deceased now, and I didn't kill them.
She didn't, y'all.
I did not. I did not.
I can go. You may have wanted to give some pain, But
disclaimer,
I can
full disclaimer. So I heard some people may have wanted to, but it was not me.
It wasn't
So they both told me that I think like a man. That was going to always be my problem. And I choose to believe that if I think like a man, you shouldn't have brought it to me like that because you already know me. So it's a brother out there that can handle me.
Right.
And know how to handle me.
Right,
they
right.
did not. That's it.
Yeah. So I would also I agree with some of what you said. You know that that's a whole nother conversation about masculine energy, feminine energy, dominant, masculine, dominant, feminine, being in our femininity. So that's a whole nother, let that be a whole nother episode that we talk about. So I came up with, of course, the title Coffee Talk Podcast, because it takes me back to when I grew up with grandma and drinking coffee on the porch of grandma. And then when the older people come over, I had to vacate the porch because it was grown up conversations that I wasn't privy to listen in on. Hence, Coffee Talk Podcast. I came up with the title of that because of that. It takes me back to those memories with my grandma and having conversations that I wasn't allowed to listen in on. And of course, now moving forward, Coffee Talk Podcast, this is a place for all conversations, good and bad, the ugly, the pretty. And we're here to have those. We're here to have those conversations, up and down.
Malfunction.
Oh yeah. There's nothing off limits. We're willing to have all conversations,
right?
And we invite our audience, our guests, people to chime in and give your perspective, your vantage point, your opinion on the matter, because that's why we're having this space. And it's about us being able to set in the place or share a space with each other where we can value each other's opinion and hope that I can glean from the opinion that you give, and it can help me just like what I say can help you. Don't count it, don't discount what someone else has to say because their opinion is different from yours, because we all come up in different walks of life, different environments, different backgrounds, different families. And so my outlook on life may not be the same as yours. And then once we left home like me and you, college, then leave for the military, start raising families. We had different experiences. So because of our different experiences, our conversations and our observations, it's helped to mold us as people. And it has shifted and changed our perspective on certain matters, right? And we're here in this space to share that.
Right. Now I had coffee with my granddaddy, not my grandma.
Oh,
my great grandmother.
There you go again.
So I had coffee with my granddaddy and the Masons at the taxi stand every morning, so I didn't have to leave the conversation.
See, that's not well. I was told we had to go.
Yeah. Well, my grandmother, kids were seen and not heard.
And if you
but with my granddaddy with the Masons, I was one of the guys.
Yeah,
I've been hanging with them since I was 3, going with him every morning to drink coffee, and also going to the Masonic meetings.
Look at you! So just all around, just what I was saying earlier about our different backgrounds, the families that we were born into, our different life experiences, whether your family has lived in their hometown all their life and never have left, and then like people like you and me where we did leave, and then because of that it opened us up to a whole world of experiences, a lot of things that we saw that maybe other people didn't see. Right. And travel in the world, being stationed in other countries, living in other states, all those things that come with the military community. So it's afforded us the opportunity to see the diversity and to see how other people live versus
having a Janet Jackson moment. Go ahead.
What?
Have a Janet Jackson moment.
How other people live versus, having different experiences and being able to explore the dynamics of that.
And the one thing that you can take away from this is you can learn something from anyone, even if it's what not to do. So,
well, you're right.
You got people that say, my mom didn't do this and my mom wasn't that. So what kind of mother I'm going to be? The opposite of what your mama was?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation too. A lot of people say that they're not going to be like their mom. They're not going to be like their dad. But if all they say is that I'm not going to be like my mom and dad, and you don't fill in the blank with how you're going to be, more than likely, and studies have shown it, you will be like your mom or you will be like your dad. You have to put out into the atmosphere or be speaking forth. Well, then what are you going to be like? It's not enough to just say, I'm not going to be like my mother, and I'm not going to be like my father. Okay, that's another episode. So we're not going to get into that either. Just, hey, join us, stay tuned, continue to come on and look to see what subjects or what conversations we're going to be having. So we don't want to get into all of that. We can.
And send us, if you are interested, send us some topics that you may want to discuss.
Oh yeah, that you want us to discuss, because we're up for it.
I have worked for the government, military wise, and as a contractor. And so I'm going to give you this full disclosure. They sent out a person to do my background check for security clearance. And all over the world, I had a girlfriend in Paris, I had one in Japan, and I had one in somewhere. And I think 3 in the States. I remember all of them. The guy was like, well, one thing I can say that is consistent is they all stated that you were brutally honest. I was like,
right. Don't
really?
Cut no corners. Yeah, don't cut no corners.
Really? He was like, yeah. So okay.
Well, well, we know you don't cut corners. That's why, of course, I bought this to you, and we collabed together. I came and visited you in Texas a few times. We've talked about this over the years when we're going to sit down and start
and this come down there and sit in all them plants.
Oh yeah. So you're the balance. You're the one that forces me to walk out on the ledge and talk about things that generally I may not talk about. And that's one thing that I can say about you. Iron sharpens iron. And we have what's called the energy burst, where we come together and encourage each other, motivate each other, empower each other to continue to move forth in the things of God, and also to pursue our divine mission, and to show up every single day as your best self. And sometimes that, that's not always easy.
Always possible.
It's not, but you always push. And so that's one thing that I can respect.
Really hard.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I respect about you. You're gonna push this.
Because I'm that friend that will fight. We'll be like, don't talk to my girlfriend like that. Then we get back to the room and be like, you was wrong.
Right.
You out in the streets. I'm in 6, man.
It be the truth, but I'm like, dang, Sharon, you didn't have to say it like that.
I did though.
Well, you have to say it like that.
I did though.
So it's always on our channel. We understand that what we convey to our audience may not always be receiving and may not be for everybody. So we urge you to eat the chicken and throw out the bones. And if this is a podcast that you feel you will be interested in, we invite you to like, subscribe, and follow. Stay tuned. This is us just, of course, hitting the runway. We get ready to take off. And CoffeeTalk Podcast
next week.
Yeah, CoffeeTalk Podcast is here, honey.
And then remember, regardless of how it's said, this is a community of love.
Right.
Life is hard. Like I always tell people, be safe. Them streets is mean out there. So,
okay.
You got to learn
how to like how we were growing up.
Yeah, you go out there and take it. Because I didn't have the luxury of being a kid. I've always been just like this because I've always had adult conversations. So my perspective is going to be completely different.
Well, we welcome it, Sharon.
So thank you.
So thank you so much for making Coffee Podcast what it is, a safe place. And like I said, those watching, please like, subscribe, and join and stay tuned as we continue to show up as CoffeeTalk Podcast, a place for all conversations. Catch us on our next episode.
Right, because you won't be failing on my watch.
We ain't gonna fail on my watch. We commit to sharing content as much as possible and meeting for Coffee Talk. This is CoffeeTalk Podcast signing off. Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining me tonight.